The thing from the multiple cups of coffee I had, I would not be sleep.
How many cups of coffee did you have today?
3, but one was espresso.
Espresso.
In love with movies, in love, in love,
Dani and Nick.
in love with movies. Da da da.
Welcome back, movie lovers, to In Love with Movies. I'm Nick.
And I'm Dani.
And what is In Love with Movies on a typical day, Dani?
Oh my gosh. On a typical day?
Yeah, typical day.
Yeah, usually it's a little potty pod about
Little potty pod.
love and movies.
Exactly. We normally spend about 30 to 40 minutes talking about a movie and discussing love and what it is in the natural world today, usually with guests and things of that nature. I don't even know. But today we have an extra special episode. And why do we have an extra special episode, Dani?
Because I'm old. Truly, I'm terrified.
Aww.
I'm about to turn 30 in 6 days.
It will actually have been a few days ago when listeners hear this.
Well, currently in the world, I haven't turned 30 yet, so
this is not a 30-year-old face, listeners, but by the time you hear and see this,
I will have gotten Botox.
Danielle will have entered her dirty 30s, the dirty 30s.
And I'm super pumped, honestly, because Nick and Lizzie and Bree are throwing me a banging party. At least I hope it's banging. Cannot confirm because, again, it has not happened yet. However, it is 90s.
Stay tuned for how disappointed she gets.
It's 90s themed. I will be Baby Spice, and Lizzie will be Ginger Spice, and Bree will be Sporty Spice, and Jessica will be Scary Spice, because truly she's scary sometimes. And Alicia is posh.
She is very posh.
Yeah, so I'm just super pumped.
Not the Spice Girl, just very posh.
She is very posh, and I'm very excited to have just a cool 90s party. And for those of you who are watching, look at my nails. I got my nails did. They're very 90s.
She's got some cool pastel colors from that decade.
Did you know that the Spice Girls were kind of really only together for like 3 years before Ginger was like, peace.
Okay, so before we go too far into Spice Girl
it was just
territory,
a fun fact.
It is a fun fact. It's a very fun fact. But we have a slightly different episode for you all today. Rather than us actually discussing anything having to do with love, we are going to focus entirely on movies, or really in some ways blend things together. So for those of you who've been listening long enough, you may know that this whole endeavor started off, as I like to say, with me trying to make Danielle watch more movies with me, and to quote unquote, and this is some of the more pretentious stuff that I've ever said, but work on her cinematic education. So
that's some of the more pretentious stuff I've ever said. I disagree,
but anyway, so today, the other reason it's blended into is we get to know each other from movies, right? So what movies are your favorites, and what you think about movies, and which ones you go back to, I think, says something about who you are as a person, what you think about the world, and the sort of filter that you see things through. So in honor of Danielle's 30th birthday today, we thought that we would do a 30 for 30. And I'm sorry in advance to anyone who is a sports fan and thought that they were somehow getting something having to do with that, because that's not what's happening. But our 30 for 30, it is. Our 30 for 30 is that Danielle is going to count down her 30 favorite movies. Now, we will probably be talking about some of these more than others.
Yes, I also want to apologize to people who actually like movies out there. Because as I was going through this list, I think Nick, he has tried very hard. We've known each other for 8 years to enhance my cinematic education, as I just pretentiously said. But most of these movies, they're not ones that I've watched with Nick. They're just important to my life.
And I will tell everyone that I have not seen this list. Danielle created this entirely on her own. I occasionally reminded her of some movies that we had watched together, or things that we had done for the podcast that she may or may not have picked some of those particular movies. I did give her guidelines. At one point there was, can I just categorize all of these entire group of movies, say Disney Channel originals, as one? And I'd be like, sure. And then I discovered that there'd be 3 other individual Disney Channel original movies as their own. And I was like, no, we need to have individual movies. So there's all 30. I have not heard this list before. I will be reacting live here with all of you. I'm hoping that some of the movies that I've introduced Danielle to will be somewhere in the top 30, although I am not foolish enough to think that they're probably in the top 10. But anyway, so since that's going to take a while and we have, a long time, that our entire episode today is going to be talking about this, why don't we go ahead and kick it off without further ado, Dani, unless you have anything else to say to preface?
No, I just want to say when I was putting this list together, first of all, Nick asked me if I had actually seen 30 movies total in my life. And I was like, I don't know about that. But we've had 31 episodes of our podcast, so I've at least seen 31. But I also did a little research. I texted my mom, that's the research, and my brother.
That's the research.
And I want to say that this list was very difficult to put together. And also, we're going to record this. We're going to put this out into the world. People are going to hate on me. And then I'm going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that movie and that movie. Because there's just 20 bajillion movies out there. That's
Totally.
also research.
Totally.
So without further ado, I honestly think Nick is going to be kerflunkled
I love this one.
on some of this. Also, I apologize in advance. My nose is runny because it is warm out. Those allergies are back.
Oh, I was going to say, how does that make sense?
Wait, I know I said without further ado, but can I tell you this meme that I saw that was like, this is my favorite part of the year where winter is ending and it's starting to get warm, but they haven't made the bugs yet.
They haven't made the bugs yet.
All right, number 30. Are you ready for this?
Do it. Let's bring it.
Disturbia.
Wait, like, so the one with
Shia LaBeouf
and Carrie-Anne Moss, I think, plays his mom, and you've got what's his face plays the creepy dude next door.
I don't know who. I know.
So
Shia
kind of like, it's like
LaBeouf.
it's like the Rear Window. It's kind of a spin on Rear Window, isn't it?
I don't know, Nick. I just know that this was one of the first quote scary movies I had ever seen in theaters with a boy. I'm not sure, or just like with my friends.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
And I was so proud of myself for actually enjoying a scary movie. It's kind of like a thriller, but like, it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's not like true horror, like in a like body horror sense, but I mean, it's definitely genre, scary. And it is creepy. It's very much thriller-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just like that movie, and it came to mind. 29, Grind. You know that movie?
Are we talking about the skateboard?
Yes, yeah. Me and David used to watch it all the time.
It was God, I'm trying to remember who was in it. I feel like I'm going to spend this whole episode just being like trying to pull random movie facts.
Sorry, we don't have our opening credits for you. I just put the names of movies and just look it up.
Well, I'm totally blind to it. But, okay, so why the movie Grind, other than just like you and your brother, watched it a bunch?
I think that there was a point in my life where I really wanted to be like a skateboarder girl. I had like Vans and stuff. And my brother constantly,
we're talking about the 90s, by the way. That's
my brother constantly, this is the early 2000s, reminded me that I was a poser. But when he and I would watch this movie together, I'd feel a little bit cooler because I thought it was funny and I liked the skateboarding and I was just real, I don't know, it's a dumb movie that I like a lot. Okay. I kind of want to watch it again.
All right.
I watched it a lot of times too.
A lot of times.
Okay, number 28. Again, I think you might be surprised this is even on the list. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
No, I'm not surprised.
With
I feel
Dani
like we talked about this a lot.
I was in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat when I was little. And it was actually like, it was right around when my cousin passed away. So it was just like really important to me to be with her sister, my other cousin, and Lizzie. And we all got to be in the play together at the high school. And I wasn't in high school. I was in the kids choir. But I watched this movie constantly because I can't learn music by reading it. Unless it's the saxophone. When I sing, I have to hear the song 10 million times. And so I would just listen to it over and over and over and over and over again. And I think I fell in love with Donny Osmond.
Didn't you have like a crush on the guy playing someone?
Oh, yeah, Bob.
There you go. Okay.
Bob played Joseph in the live. I really liked him. He was also my kindergarten teacher's son.
Oh, okay. Son. Okay. I was like, your kindergarten teacher.
No, her son. So, yeah, that's 28. 27.
27.
This one David had to remind me of, my brother.
But made the list.
Yes. The Land Before Time.
Oh yeah, so you would still like today you would count that in your top 30, like Land
Yes.
Before Time is okay.
I really had a thing for those characters, and I just remember it being like such a fun, sweet, loving. I don't ask me the plot of any of these movies because I don't remember them at all. But I remember, wasn't there like Ducky and Light Lori Lightfoot,
No,
who's
no.
Littlefoot. I don't know. I just really liked it. And when I texted my mom earlier, she was like, "You are weirdly really into dinosaurs." Because she was telling me all the TV shows I was obsessed with, which
Okay.
was Barney, obviously, when I was little. And then I really loved the TV show Dinosaurs. You know that one where it's like, not the mama, not the mama.
Wasn't like everyone into dinosaurs at the time?
I guess so, but I don't think about myself as a dinosaur chick now.
I see what I remember about those is the very first one, Land Before Time, was kind of dark.
I don't remember it.
And then there was like, God, Ducky had a
Is there an
catchphrase.
extinction?
Um, like maybe they're heading to like the promised land or something, and they get lost from the family, and then it's kind of like a homeward bound type
That's
of
what I was just gonna say.
situation.
It's like I like that movie too, but it's too sad.
But yeah, the first one I remember being kind of dark, but it ends with them like I think finding the place they were looking for, which is therefore funny and confusing because they had literally I just googled to like double check 14 total movies in that franchise.
I don't think I've seen all of
I was
them.
gonna say I remember there being like 6 or something like that, but as I was just looking at it, the most recent sequel was in 2016, and that was like
Oh,
7 years between it and the previous sequel
wow.
before it. So like it clearly is still being milked, at least to some degree. But yeah, I remember those movies, and I probably watched the second or third one more times. But like it was definitely one of those things where it was a really good first outing, and then someone else just kept making straight to VHS.
Yeah.
Back when.
And I had a lot of those VHS tapes for sure.
Yeah, and that's a good one though. I would love to actually watch that again sometime.
Yeah, because someone tell me what it's about.
So if
No,
you
I don't need. Oh,
listeners, if you know someone who just is absolutely head over heels in love with that movie and has a great love story about it, find us on the socials and then let us know. Maybe we'll have them as a guest.
yeah.
Continue. What's your
Okay.
next number?
Number 26. This is a Nicholas influenced movie.
Oh, we made within the like first 5. We got one that's
Oh,
from
but
me.
this is the lower part of the list, Nick.
Hey, you know what? Like we've watched 30 movies together. If I manage to get just one that early on,
This one wasn't even on the.
I'll be happy if I get the top half, top 15. I'll be happy.
This wasn't on the podcast, but
Oh.
It was on like Nick made a list for me originally when we first started dating. Movies Danielle must see, and I've seen like 6 of them on.
I was gonna say there's like 20 still on the list because we don't get through them that quickly.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Fight Club.
Yeah.
I like that movie. And then in the same vein, I think this is the same director. Number 25 is The Usual Suspects.
I don't think they're the same director.
Sorry.
Similar vibe, like of sorts, in the sense of like there's this mind bending aspect. There's nothing like mental health, but like there's big shock 'em, get 'em. Okay. Anybody who hasn't seen both of these movies, The Usual Suspects or Fight Club, plug your ears or skip forward about 30 seconds. Spoilers, huge spoilers for both. Both of them have huge endings.
Yeah.
One, is go ahead. What's the
I
two?
don't remember the ending. I think one is Brad Pitt's not real.
That's correct.
And then we talked about this the other day. And the other one is the bad guy now. What's his name? Kevin Spacey. He's not a good guy. He was walking with a limp and then he stops walking with a limp. So I really like these movies. I was very, very hesitant because first of all, I'm like, I don't like high-end movies, what everyone talks about. They're like, oh, it's so
something
great.
that I have to actually watch and makes me think. That's the kind of movies
and
you
I thought
hated.
they were boring, and I don't like drama.
Uh-huh.
But Nick was like, I promise you'll like Usual Suspects. It's one of the first movies we actually watched together that was like a Nick original pick. And I really, really like these movies that are, I don't know what's coming. And I'm not as smart, I think, when it comes to movies as Nick is. So he sees the twists a lot earlier, where for me, truly at the end, my mind is always blown. I'm like, what?
I will say you have to keep in mind, and I don't know if Memento's on this list too, because we were asking about that the other day, and Memento's one that I've made you watch. But for all 3 of those movies, like my mind was probably equally blown the first time I saw them. But when you and I have been watching them together, it's at least the second. Usual Suspects, it might have been the third, probably was the second time I'd watched it all the way through. Fight Club, like I feel like men of a certain age had watched Fight Club multiple times, and the intellectual ones understood the message that was actually being sent through that movie. And the others were obsessed with it for other reasons anyway, but everyone was obsessed with it. Kind of the same thing with Memento, I feel like. But point being, you give me too much credit to be like, Nick saw it coming. Yeah, of course I saw it coming. I'd seen it before. I knew what the twist was.
And caveat, I don't want to watch those movies, I don't think, ever again. Like, I don't need to, because it was so shocking the first time that I'm like, cool.
And I have gotten good at totally respecting that, because for me, part of the enjoyment comes at watching it again, knowing what's coming, and seeing like the hints that the movie makers made for you. But they're also intense, crazy, thought-provoking, emotional movies that I know you don't much love that. So the fact that I get you to watch it and tell you appreciate it, that's a win for me.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Now 24 and 23 are also related, because when I was making this list, I was like, oh, this movie reminds me of this movie. So 24 we did on the podcast, which recently, I don't know if it's come out yet. No, I don't think so. Enchanted.
We have a future episode that shall be released.
Yep. And then
Disney's Enchanted.
23 is Tangled,
Oh,
which is like
okay.
very similar, but like one's live action and one's animated. And they both have just such good songs.
They do have really good music.
And they both flip the idea of being a princess on their head. And so that's why I'm very endeared to both of those movies. And they still fall in love in the end, but like in a way that the man respects them. So I really like them.
This is going to make me probably sound terrible or insensitive, but Tangled, I think I've told you this before, is one of the few movies I can remember falling asleep in the movie theater.
Well, we have to watch it again then.
No,
it's so good.
We have seen it again, and I appreciated that. And I see she doesn't remember she has watched this with me. I may or may not have gotten it for her as a gift, because she's explained to me that it's one of her favorites before in the past. Tangled.
Is this a birthday gift you got from me this year?
Like, no, like a while ago.
Oh.
Like years ago.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, we have a physical copy of Tangled because you expressed this. I can't remember if it was for an event or if it was just like one of those times where I was like, you get gifts because that makes you very happy when you get unexpected gifts. But that's the first time I can remember watching it start to finish awake the whole time. And I was actually kind of beating myself up, because I was like, yeah, this is really good. I'd heard good things and knew that good things. I can't genuinely remember. It probably was like high school. I vaguely think I might have been with the girl I was seeing at the time, but funny enough, like I love going to movies, and to have me fall asleep in a movie, I must have been exhausted from, I don't know if it was wrestling season or what.
It's a good movie. They're both very good movies, and you'll see a theme on this list of movies that have really good songs that you hear me singing all the time are the movies that I think I just like better, even if the movie's not good.
How do you know that you love her? So what's the song that comes to mind for Tangled?
The mom song. Mother knows best.
Okay.
That one.
I love the like theories about those movies and like Frozen and some others of like it all being one giant Disney like shared universe.
Yeah.
Like, and anyway, okay, she's like, I don't even want to keep talking about that.
No.
Let's move on.
I mean, a related
next number.
Should I say a related honorable mention, I guess, to this movie, these two movies, is Ella Enchanted.
Which one's Ella Enchanted?
There's a lot of Anne Hathaway.
Okay.
Which is also a great movie, and my Irish dancing teacher was in it.
I was gonna say, that's the one the Irish dancing teacher is, and that's why yeah.
Okay. Number 22. You and I have not watched any of these movies together.
Oh, there's plural.
Yeah. Austin Powers.
Oh, yeah, we haven't watched Austin Powers.
Honestly, Goldmember, that's a good movie.
It's one of those movies that I wonder if it'd be like The Mask, though, where you go back and watch it and it just has aged in a way that the jokes, because it was in some ways farcical, typical comedy, but in other ways it was cutting edge comedy. And I think especially anything that's cutting edge comedy, like within 10 years, is now noticeably outdated comedy.
That's fair. But I still think all the Austin Powers movies are so stupid that they're hysterical to me. And also Beyonce was in it.
I mean, yeah.
And
she did okay.
I thought she did great.
Wise. I mean, as far as
most recently
musicians turn actors, she's at least not in the bottom rung.
Okay. Most recently on Snatch Game, on Drag Race, someone did Austin Powers and Dr. Evil, and it was
They did
hysterical.
them both at the same time. Or two different
And-
people.
No, two different people. So they did a costume change in the middle. And it was Blue Hydrangea, and she won. Oh, spoiler alerts if you haven't watched it. UK version the world.
Whoopsie.
Okay.
I don't know if listeners you've noticed, she seems to be wanting to go really fast and cutting me off and like wants to just speed run through this. You seem to not want any commentary from me whatsoever.
Oh, tell me your things.
No, that's okay.
Okay, number 21 is one that we watched. This was maybe the first movie that we watched for this podcast. Model Behavior. Okay, when we rewatch it for the podcast, I'm not gonna lie, it's not great. But I'm just very into Justin Timberlake, in case you guys didn't know that about me. And it just was, I don't know, it's just a very cute movie that I like a lot.
Fun little, so listeners, we won't spend too much time on this because yes, it was I think our second or first episode that we did this, because the idea was, we were going to make Danielle watch a bunch of movies that I want to watch. Well, we'll start with a movie that she in fact wants to watch, and it was the first time I'd ever seen Model Behavior. All I knew about it was
original, by the way.
All I knew about it was like it was tops for her because of her love of Justin Timberlake. That was a big deal. And then that it was also very difficult to get a copy because I don't think that there's anyone legally reproducing physical forms of that. And it was not on Disney Plus, at least not at the time. So.
No, I doubt it.
All right. So go back and listen to our previous episode on Model Behavior and you'll get all of my fresh first reactions to it. I don't remember a single thing about that movie at this point.
Do you remember Justin Timberlake?
I remember him being in it. He still had the like perm, right?
Yeah. And it's kind of like one of those switch. Remember where they had so many Disney Channel movies that were like, oh my God, these two girls look exactly the same. They're going to switch places. And then one who's a model who was dating him, she was in high school. Then they switched.
Yeah, I feel like it was some random generic blonde, but it was someone
She's
I'd
in a
seen
lot of Disney
other
Channel
movies. And I also seem to recall thinking like they sold it as if Justin Timberlake was like some huge part of it because it's the first time they got him to be in something. But he actually wasn't.
Yeah. But
he was in like 2 scenes and was not good.
What did you just say?
I said he was not good in Model Behavior. See, In
Yeah.
Time. In Time is a decent performance from Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake can do no wrong.
Okay.
All right. Number 20.
Except for the fact that he married.
You're right, not me. Number 20. A Goofy movie.
Oh.
This is why I was singing earlier. When we listen to each other's hearts, when the world's apart. I can't remember it all.
Previous guest on this show, a friend of ours and an improviser with Danielle, also did a amazing performance of that dressed up as what's his name, Powerline, right? Is that the actual look?
I haven't seen this movie in
Michael
so
Jackson.
long.
That'd be another one I want to see. That one. See, that's one. We've talked, I think, before on this podcast about me tending to fall asleep with movies. And back when like the days of VHS instead of DVDs, this was one that probably got worn out because I just kept playing it over and over and over and over. And what was her name? Roxanne, I think. I had like
she's like the little
biggest
nose
crush
in the French beret
on Roxanne, even if she is not entirely human. I thought she was adorable. And then I think that's probably my first introduction to Pauly Shore too. The Leaning Tower of Cheese.
I was like, I don't know who Pauly Shore is. I know that character.
There you go.
Yeah, that's just an iconic movie.
Yeah.
And it's great.
And I loved the Goof Troop or whatever, the like
Mhm.
TV show that kind of followed it up.
Yeah. But Goofy movie was very like, I feel like I was starting to be in my budding adolescence, and it's very much a movie about like growing up because it's about his kid, all that stuff.
Totally.
Ready
I
for the
also
next one?
remember having that as a cassette on the first Walkman that I ever had.
And you listen to When We Listen
lot.
to Each Other's Hearts.
There's a lot.
There is. Hello, Kitty. Bing wants to be a part of the podcast. Okay, number 19. This is a plural one as well.
Oh, okay.
Halloween Towns.
We had to go ahead and combine them anyhow.
Okay.
Couldn't.
You said I like all of them. I don't.
How many Halloween Towns are there?
4.
4? I want to know this if that's for sure. 4. Okay, talk about your
Halloween Town
favorite
1,
Halloween towns.
Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge. Halloween Town 3, Return to Halloween Town. Halloween Town 4, which is trash, it's not even Marnie, is Halloween Town High.
It's not even Marnie. Is it her sister?
I mean, it's Marnie, but they changed the actress.
Oh, she.
Tell me I'm wrong.
There's 4. I see. You're right. Oh, but the Halloween Town High is the 3rd. Return to Halloween Town is the 4th.
Oh my god. How did I mess up? My bad.
You got the order wrong.
That's because I don't watch 3 or 4. 1 and 2 are great. We don't have to say anything else about it because didn't we do a podcast about that one?
I think we did an episode maybe on Halloween Town, the first one.
But the second one is actually better than the first. Stop it, Nick.
Okay. Anyway, continue.
Okay, and then clearly I was in a mindset again of oh, Disney Channel. So then number 18 is Luck of the Irish.
Now we have done a previous episode of this. I think for a previous month of March, right? Because okay.
But this one, honestly, I see myself in a lot of these movies, and it depended on what was happening in my life. And this came out when I was an Irish dancer.
This is why movies are important. They're markers for your life. They tell you the type of person you are. They tell you what's important to you at the moment that you're watching them. Please continue.
I was an Irish dancer. And so it was just very refreshing. And I don't know, every time St. Patrick's Day comes around, I'm very proud of being 25% Irish. So it was just very, I don't know, I enjoyed it. And Ryan Merriman is a babe. Right?
Which is he the one who is the young kid?
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. That's he's cute.
All right. Okay, number 17.
Again, go back and listen to our Luck of the Irish episode. You get a lot more detail.
Yes. Number 17. John Tucker Must Die.
Oh,
that's a great movie. That came out when I was in high school, so it's very young women being little rebels and trying to kill John Tucker because he's just a bad guy.
Yeah, are they literally trying to kill him? Actually?
No, they're trying to ruin his life.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen that one.
That's a good one too, and that's Brittany Snow.
I'd watch that again. Yeah, really Brittany Snow. I think it had Cookie Joe's friend.
Gretchen Wieners. Oh no, you're right. Sophia Bush.
Sophia Bush. Thank you.
Yeah, she's beautiful. And the other guy who plays John Tucker was the gardener on Desperate Housewives, and he was also on Dancing with the Stars.
Yep.
Can't remember.
Yep.
That guy. Anyways, that's a good one because in the end, the ladies are kind of against each other and kind of with each other, and then they all say, we don't need a man, and then they come together. So again, there's a theme in my teenage and early college movies that I was into because it's very much woman empowerment.
I'm down for woman empowerment. Yeah.
And it's good and it's funny. Okay.
I still remember liking that one, although I always confuse it with Win a Date with Something for some reason.
Hamilton.
Yeah, and maybe it's
I've
just
never
because
seen that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there's some of the same actors. I don't know, or maybe in my head the John Tucker kid looks similar to Josh Duhamel when he was younger. But I feel like both of those are in my head similarly for some reason.
I will say this is also one of the earlier racier movies. It's not inappropriate or anything, but there's a lot of nudity or close to nudity. Not a lot of nudity. There's a lot of close to nudity. And John Tucker is hot. Okay, number 16.
16.
The Lion King.
The Lion King. It's this low. The Lion King's a classic.
I know. I just haven't watched it in a really long time, and I feel
like you're kind of focusing a lot on almost childhood more than any modern things. And so for me, me at age 12, let's say, doing my top movies, this is top 5 easily.
Okay, well, I put it at number 16. This is my list. Because I don't immediately think of it as one of my favorite movies, but I realized how many times I watched it when I was little. My bedspread was Lion King. I was very into Lion King. I just have a lot harder of a time watching it now because of the dad thing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I can understand how that triggers you, especially because it is healthy father unexpectedly dying specifically.
Correct.
But
I do love Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I had a large poster of him on my wall. I'm sure I've told this story before, but my brother ripped it in half in front of my face. And was very into Lion King. And the songs, obviously, are award-winning. Lion King is, I think, one of the best Disney movies of all time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that it was one of the first ones that they went for the kind of live-action remake. Even though that was, I've not seen it, but from what I've heard, it's just like a shot-for-shot remake, which is why I've not seen it. It's like, okay, well, if it's just a shot-for-shot remake, I'll just go watch the original again. Like, for me, if I may, my love story with The Lion King, and the reason it kind of sticks out too, is it is the first movie-going experience that I can remember. Like, I don't know if it was my first time in a movie theater, but it came out in probably like 92 or something like that, 91. So I would have been like less than 5 years old.
I would have been negative.
But I can remember, depending on when in 92, I would have been, yeah, I can remember kind of going, like, I like vaguely remember it was one of the few times my cousins came to visit. And yeah, like I can remember going to the movie theater, and I kind of vaguely remember leaving the movie theater and us being all excited and walking out and like singing the songs and everything like that. And yeah, and I can also remember my friends we eventually had that cassette and played it a lot in my mom's car driving around growing up for like the following 3 years probably. I still love the Scar song, which apparently is not
Be Prepared?
Yeah.
There's no songs.
Yeah, I remember that.
There's no songs in the new one, I don't think.
No, the new one has a bunch of songs, but they took out that song, which is kind of crappy. It's one of the best ones.
Okay. Sorry.
Continue. Should we do an intermission?
No.
Okay, I'll let you do it after this one.
Okay. Well, I am at number 15. I
need a place to cut. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I need a place to cut to be like, okay, this is where the ad goes.
Oh, okay. So number 15. You can do it after number. Stop.
Okay.
Moving your finger.
All right, number 15.
This is also Nick influenced.
Goody. I'm glad I waited.
And another plural one.
Ooh.
Star Wars.
Now, when I first met you,
I know.
You're like, I am a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a giant Star Wars fan.
But I told you I hadn't seen all of them.
I guess that
I think I had seen all of them, but I don't remember because I was little for a lot of them. And then, yeah, you made me rewatch them, and I was still like, But as more and more Star Wars content comes out, and we have Star Wars tattoos, and our wedding cake topper was Star Wars, and I just get more into the characters, and they make more female-powered characters.
We may have, a bit of a Star Wars thing here in this house.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a Star Wars thing.
I do enjoy it a lot, and I like the world of Star Wars. I couldn't tell you all the names of all the creatures that they don't even say the names of, and I don't sit and read Wikipedia like some people do. But I think that it's a great, wonderful world, minus the prequels. Fuck those.
I may or may not have been the person who was looking up on Wikipedia to confirm my memory that the Grand Inquisitor was in fact a Pauan, which was the same race of people that Obi-Wan encounters in Episode 2, because to me, the new Grand Inquisitor live action does not look anything like a Pauan or anything like the Grand Inquisitor from the animated things, and I may or may not have taken issue with that.
Right, and I'm like, Baby Yoda.
And with that, let's take a quick break.
Oh, goodbye.
In love with movies. Da-da-da.
And we're back.
I didn't even have time to fix this. Okay, we don't have to talk a lot about Star Wars because everyone knows that Star Wars is everywhere and it's never, ever, ever going away.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have more to say? I apologize.
No.
I'm going to cut you off.
No.
Are you sure?
It
feels like this is one of those times. Listeners, tell me if you and your partners ever have these experiences where one of you is saying, "Are you sure you're good? Everything's fine," and the other one's like, "Yes, I am totally okay. There is nothing wrong with me right now." And you just like maybe get a sense that there's something hiding behind that.
Number 14. Okay, this one brought me lots of smiles when I remembered how much I love it.
Okay.
Shrek.
Yes.
Shrek is a great, actually the first two, I can't remember if the third one's any good, but definitely the first two are super amazing movies, and I watched them constantly.
It makes me feel very old when I realized that movie turned 20 years old like 2 years ago.
Really?
But, yeah. But it is so good. And that's one that I feel like is actually held up.
Yes, because I liked it when it first came out for child humor, and then the more I watched it as I got older, I was like, oh no, this is hysterical.
Yeah, it's the one I can remember using as an example, like when I first started like critiquing movies and like making opinions about them for myself. I truly think it is the definition of like a family film.
Yes.
Because the kids are going to have things to watch and the adults are going to have things to watch, and there's things that they both enjoy, and it can like both, like no matter what age you are, you can walk out of that having had a really good time. Whereas a lot of other quote unquote family movies, like I'll be honest, if the first time I ever saw The Lion King was now, I don't know that I would have as much love for it.
Let me tell you some facts about Shrek.
Yes,
in my life.
Okay.
So we got, this was I think one of the first DVDs we ever owned. We won a DVD player because they used to be so expensive, but we won it in like a raffle at our school or something.
That's fun. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And Shrek was one of the first DVDs we had, and I was like, extras? And I used to watch all the extras on these DVDs, and they had sing-alongs on the extra, and I got really into the sing-alongs, and I memorized all the songs. Then
hold on, I just have to say, because I remember all the extras too, but I do not remember singing along. I remember maybe skipping through and being like, oh, okay, that's a thing that's there. But I used to go through all the extras. You know what I watched multiple times? The extras about the animation and the voice acting, the production process.
I was like, give me more of the characters and the songs they sing. And then I played saxophone for a very long time, and we used to have to get like practice books and stuff. And one of my favorite practice books that my mom got me was the soundtrack to Shrek. So I know how to play like I'm a Believer and All Star and all that because
I was just gonna say, I think Shrek is also the movie that like turned me on to Smash Mouth, and I eventually went and got that album.
Yeah. And there's another fun fact I had about Shrek.
Fun fact.
I don't remember, but it's just such a good movie.
It is such a good movie. And obviously I feel like there's a whole generation of people that recently rediscovered it. Go ahead.
The first play I saw on my own when I went to college was Shrek the Musical.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I was like, I'm in for a good time.
And you literally went by yourself?
No, I went with my roommates, but like.
Oh, okay, like but not with mom.
Yeah.
Gotcha. The thing I was going to say is, I think in the last couple of years, at the time of this recording, the COVID-19 pandemic certainly made Shrek noticeable again. Yes, because some of you may die.
And it was just like, I think it's an adult fairy tale. It really is like, okay, you feel comfortable and you love these characters and you love the story, and then it again flips it on its head. That's another theme I love, is just taking something that's so traditional and flipping it on its head. Like the gingerbread man, he loses a leg. Yikes.
Or and then becomes but what I was also going to say, I feel like it's definitely not the first, but maybe it was one of the first big blockbuster-esque movies that did this that I noticed. It took that whole princess story at a time when Disney was still kind of wrestling with like our princesses and what our princesses are and whether they're damsels in distress, or like we had just had like Jasmine, maybe, where we're starting to like have princesses have their own badass stuff with Mulan and things. But then this comes in it as like the version of the princess that you think you want, the very pretty, very bad, like all that stuff. Not even the real one. The one that's the better version is in fact the ogre. That is a cool message.
And obviously, Donkey.
One
of the greatest characters of all time.
Yeah.
I'm making waffles.
It says something to say this, and I genuinely think it ranks at least in the top 3 of my favorite Eddie Murphy performances. And he's had a lot of good performances.
Ooh, so Dr. Doolittle's another good one. But that didn't make the list.
Okay, good. Well, maybe we need to do a whole new episode on that, because I feel like you and I just talked about Shrek for a real long time. But then again, I know. Maybe we don't. Let us know. Listeners, would you like to hear us do an episode on Shrek? Tweet at us with Shrek, please. Hashtag, I'm gonna say this right now. Hashtag Shrek, please, as in PLS. We can keep it short. Shrek PLS. Oh, you want PLZ? Yeah. PLZ. Shrek PL. Shrek, please.
Oh, that's funny. Is it a check, please? Is Shrek?
Shrek, please.
Shrek, please.
All right, so go to find our socials at the letter In Love with Movies, at In Love with Movies on Instagram and Twitter, and then hashtag us. Yes, hashtag Shrek, please. Shrek, please. All right. If that's something you want, maybe we'll put it on the docket in the future. Continue.
Nick, be plugged. All right.
Plug.
Number 13.
13. Not 13, 13.
13. The
Okay.
only Marvel movie that has made my list.
Only one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm very curious to
No,
see
you
where
know
this
which
is.
one it is.
This is going to be a big deal, folks.
Guess.
What's what I think your favorite Marvel movie is, and we're talking like Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Because there's lots. I mean, like it's not.
No, you don't have to explain it. It's okay.
It's not Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse or something.
No,
like that.
no.
Okay, your favorite ever Marvel movie? Well, I was gonna say. Go ahead.
No, I'm waiting for you.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to think it out. I know you didn't love Captain Marvel, but you like ladies, so it could be that. We both thought Black Widow was bleh.
Trash.
Go listen to our episode on Black Widow, everyone. That was last year at some point. Oh crap! No, I feel bad. No, I don't know. Oh wait, hold up. Does it have to do with a 4K television?
No. No, it's not Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
It is Ant-Man. I can't believe you didn't think of that.
That's fair. I should have known that.
I love Paul Rudd so very much. And just to see him as a superhero, this was one of the first Marvel movies that was like true humor to me. So I was like, oh, okay.
I can see that. Yeah, I always forget it because there's been other movies since then, and even movies that you like, you don't necessarily want to revisit that often.
But I've watched Ant-Man a lot.
Yes, and in all fairness, I think you had seen it before me, and I think that you like even said to me that's the one and only Marvel movie you remember enjoying, like when we first met.
Yeah.
Even though I've made you watch all of them since.
Yes. Now I don't like the second one. I don't like them throwing Ant-Man in other Avengers and stuff. I just want Ant-Man.
See, I loved him in Civil War, but that's okay.
All right, number 12.
12.
Now, I haven't watched this movie a ton, but this is when I was really starting to break into like loving women in comedy.
Good. Okay.
Bridesmaids.
I totally agree.
Kristen Wiig.
Like top 20 of all time.
Yeah.
It deserves it.
Yeah. Melissa McCarthy is so good in this movie. And I will say, Melissa McCarthy, we all know, let's be honest. Melissa, if you're listening, I'm sorry. She's kind of one note. She's got her thing.
She listens to this a lot.
I mean, she's a one note actor in a lot of things. But in Bridesmaids, she's a completely different character that is so lovable and so perfect. I just love it so much.
Yeah.
Oops. And Maya Rudolph, I forgot to say that. Iconic. I
agree. I think that the wedding dress fitting scene that ends with brown notes in the street.
And honestly, that happened to me when I was in Peru. We had like a bridesmaids moment where all 4 girls, no, 3 of us were just like, oh, we all have food poisoning at the same time. And there's only one bathroom.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, it is so iconic because it's so farcical and over the top, but at the same time, so very real. Like, in it, yeah, unapologetically.
Ellie Kemper's in that too.
Yep.
She's the one that's like, I just want to poop rainbows or something like that.
No, that's a good one. That is very good. I would say, yeah, I mean, that might even, if I were to like make just a top 10 comedies list, that would be probably potentially on there. Yeah.
Pretty perfect.
Yeah.
Number 11, Elf. If you know me, you know I love a theme. I love a holiday. So there is another holiday movie. No, a couple other holiday movies on here.
There's more. Wait, hold on.
I know, we're in my top 10.
We're about to make it to the top 10. You're telling me there's more than one holiday movie on the rest of the top 10.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, this is going to buckle up, folks.
But Elf,
I'm going to have some opinions.
It's such a joyous movie, truly. And hysterical and perfect. And I can watch it over and over and over and over and over and over again. The end.
It's got some flaws.
Nick?
It is a very good movie. I always want to watch it at some point during the holiday season. Hands down. We always watch it.
And this is one of my favorite Zooey Deschanel roles of all time.
Yeah, I'd give that.
I don't watch a lot of her movies because
for sure
she's dramatic.
Have I ever made you watch Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay.
The Answer to Life.
Damn. It's 43.
That was 42.
You might be right. Anyway, number 10.
Okay, number 10 is also a movie I can't really watch anymore because of the.
Hold on, should we like give a huge drum roll because we're at the top 10? No, she's like, don't. Okay, top 10.
Oh wait, don't we have a button that's a drum roll? No, down here on your thing. Oh yeah, you guys can't hear it. Never mind. This is very anticlimactic. Yeah. Dang, $600. There it is. Oh. I don't know if they can hear that at all. We'll have to see. Maybe you heard some noises. Number 10. Okay, this is a movie I genuinely can't watch anymore because I sob every time, but I also sob every time I hear the main song. So
hold on a second. You have something in your top 10
Mhm.
that you just can't watch.
Mhm.
I bet I know what it is, but I am impressed that you would consider something like, to me, how good a movie is sometimes depends greatly on how rewatchable it is. So, but I'm glad and proud of you for recognizing, like, as we've discussed before, sometimes a movie is good or is powerful and you still just like have no desire to watch it again. Like we talked about Usual Suspects at the way bottom of this list. Like
Interstellar or yeah.
Future episode on Interstellar coming up, folks.
Do you know what it is?
Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic movie. Phil Collins is amazing. Also, did you know NSYNC has a song in there? Trash in the Camp.
With Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes, he plays that. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm forgetting all the names of these characters.
That's okay.
But
it was 30 movies. We couldn't do opening credits for 30 different movies.
That movie came out like probably the year that my dad died. So I loved it a lot, but I just have a hard time. And it's like, just like we have a Star Wars tattoo. I have a Tarzan tattoo. I have, well, a Phil Collins. I don't know. You'll Be in My Heart Always was just like my dad's song, and they played it at his funeral and blah, blah. Woo! Anyways, getting teary. But it's a very important movie to me because it just is a movie about resilience and just love, and NSYNC is in it too. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes up for listeners who've been listening to us for a while. You know that each of us has stuff that we're processing through still to this day about the loss of our fathers. It's one of the things that I think we connected on. And if we ever watched the movie Big Fish or Godfather for this, you'll probably see me cry. So the difference is I might actually let us do
that. All right, number 9. This is gonna blow your pants off.
I'll hold on to them.
And I also want to preface this by saying I'm not sure how PC this movie is, but I want to tell you why I love it the most.
Oh dear.
The Ringer.
Seriously, The Ringer made top 10.
Yes, because let me tell you, this is the first movie I saw where there was actual representation of people with disabilities. And the entire message of the movie, even though it's crass and it's a little, they say some bad words and stuff in there, is that people with disabilities are just as good, if not better, than everyone else.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't know where, people PC wise would be proud or not of this movie. I know when you and I watched it together, because you had said something about it, like we kind of talked about how, like, I wonder, what people with disabilities think of this movie. Like, because I don't know, I'm not one of them, but you work with people with disabilities, I know, and that's part of the reason you identify with it. I watch it and I will admit it's sad to me to be like, yeah, the only way they were able to get enough room in a cast for people with disabilities and that representation you talked about was they had a large enough number of characters with disabilities that they filled half of it with people with disabilities, and the other half is just actors acting disabled, which could be seen as offensive, which is ironic because, of course, if you've seen the movie The Ringer, Johnny Knoxville, and I think it's maybe Rip Torn or Brian Cox, probably Brian Cox, plays his uncle or whatever that like bets on him. The whole thing is that he's going to pretend to be disabled because it is like, oh, well, if you have a regularly abled person who participates in Special Olympics, they will obviously win out. And so it's just very ironic to me, and I apologize. I feel like now you feel like I'm downing on this movie.
I said I don't know how culturally appropriate it is, but I do think that it's one of the first times I've seen representation of something that I love and I care about, and the message that I care about.
I agree with that.
On screen.
Yeah.
And Johnny Knoxville's a freaking idiot, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I do like the message of it for sure.
People are gonna come at me, huh?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I just think I was trying to think of things that were very personal to me, and I care a lot about like proving that the underdog can do everything that everyone else can. And so this movie kind of just, in a farcical, over the top, sometimes inappropriate way, starts to push that message at a time when people weren't talking about disability.
Oh, 1000%.
So I do think that it's probably not PC, but I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things where it's maybe if it's not PC, at least to me, I would suspect it's partially because again, the irony of like it's giving this good message, but then at the same time is casting people to pretend to be disabled. And it's just like you're pointing out that it's stupid and silly to
But I'm
pretend to
not
be
sure.
disabled.
I think all the people with disabilities had disabilities, but I want to double check. Nick doesn't think so.
I don't. Only because I'm like 98% certain that there's certain actors I can specifically remember seeing in other roles.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
And that's where I'm like, I don't think so. But the message absolutely there, and we have gone over lots of movies in this show that are like dated. But just because it's dated, you have to keep in mind like, well, what was it at the time? And similar to what we were saying, and trying to make sure you don't feel like you're being attacked by me or anyone else. Movies are also subjective, and they're about when we experience them, especially the first time, and they can change as we experience them over time.
Yeah, a lot of these movies, I think the reason they're on my list and the reason I get a lot of joy out of them is because of the message of women are awesome, woman power, you can do whatever you want, or like overcoming obstacles.
Yeah.
Which is why another movie's on in my top 10.
Oh. So what number was that again?
This was number 9.
Okay, so we just cracked the top 10.
Yeah.
I will start trying to interrupt you as much. I apologize.
Oh, okay. It's okay. But anyways, yeah. So I think that's why you gravitate towards movies because they're art and because they make you think a lot.
Sure.
I gravitate towards movies that make me feel like I can do something or that I'm passionate about something. And this movie made me feel that I don't think I even knew I wanted to be in special ed, but it's like the feeling I had when I was watching the movie at the end was like, oh, I truly do care about this. So it helped me like recognize that, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of people who probably were like, oh, I do care about this, or, as if it's the first time they'd ever thought about it, and they don't go then dedicate their lives.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is the reason why I work in the field that I do, but it just was a little, what do they say? Icing on the cake?
It may have planted the seed.
Maybe, yeah.
And then you started seriously considering it as like a real thing, not necessarily directly from it the years later.
Yeah. All right, come at me, y'all, if you want to.
It is at Dani Miami 4. It's right underneath
It's
if you're watching on YouTube.
Nick Loves Movies. Okay, number 8. Another holiday special. Do you know which one this is going to be?
I'm assuming that Christmas Vacation is somewhere in this top 10. Okay, so this is Christmas Vacation?
Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
Because it is nostalgia and one of the most quotable movies for me. And we don't even have to get any further into this because I talk about this movie constantly. And I feel like I was a hipster when it came to this movie because it's now a cult classic, but I liked it before that. So, okay, we're moving on.
All I will say, I wanted to let you have your piece.
Okay.
All I will say is, listeners, there is another episode. You can go back and find our back catalog, and there's an episode, Christmas Vacation, where we discussed that.
I think Barb's in it too.
That makes sense. I think it was one of our first season ones, maybe.
Is he a
We did my holiday movie of Fifth Element with your holiday movie. Yeah, back to back. Anyway, but the other thing is, so it was 2 or 3 years ago that we watched this together for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We have watched it every year since then.
Mm-hmm.
Each year, I like it a little bit more.
Thank you. I also watch it 8 to 10 times every December minimum because it's so good. Okay, number 7.
Number 7.
I did like a little switchy guy because I was like,
okay.
Mean Girls.
I was hoping this was going to be on the list somewhere. When we made it this far and I hadn't heard that before, I was like, oh, snap. I'm going to make her feel bad.
Yes, this is a truly perfect movie, in my opinion.
It is very, yeah.
And I don't have any movies with Tina Fey or Amy Poehler in them on this list, but this is a Tina Fey written movie.
She's in it too. She's not
yeah, you're right.
She's in it.
Yeah. So I just, it's very similar to Bridesmaids, but it hit me at a time where I was a girl in high school. I think I was in 8th grade when this came out, 7th or 8th grade. But I was like becoming a girl in high school and like it was very relatable. Also in high school, this was like the movie we quoted the most in my group of friends. and they played it at our high school lock-in. They like played it over the pool. It was really cool. I was in AP calculus, and we would always, it's where you learn about limits and how the limit does not exist. And truly, when I learned that, I said, oh my God, this all makes sense right now. And so we'd always walk around, especially the person who quoted this the most is PK. It was in his best man speech to Jake.
Mad love for you, PK. Mad love.
But this was just an iconic movie in our group of friends, and it's just very quotable and very funny. And oh, Kevin G. I don't know, because we were also kind of nerdy, and so we could see ourselves in like these different groups. And
Yeah, and I think it empowered you. PK's out there doing things at a limitless level. So, you know,
the limit does not exist.
his limit does not exist.
It really was like our senior year motto for us. The limit does not exist, meaning like a lot of us have become successful, but also we love Mean Girls. And I think we might do an episode on Mean Girls with our boys, Vin and Caleb.
Ooh, is that what they were talking about? Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that.
So
PK might be jealous though.
That's true. Okay, the next one I have is Hairspray. Okay. This is the movie I was talking about where it's like overcoming.
And it flips back and forth. Which number are we at? 6?
6.
Okay, so wow, Hairspray did not crack the top 5.
I know.
Listeners, I don't know if she's talked about it much on the podcast, but my wife is deeply in love with the movie Hairspray. And so for me to have this not be in the top 5, I am shook.
It was
truly shook.
The top 7, I was having a really hard time, and I don't know if you saw me crying. But I wasn't crying, but
she was very frustrated and angry at me for making her stick to this.
I know a lot of these are very similar love for me. Hairspray, it's I keep saying this, but it's like a perfect musical. It is a perfect musical. I will say that. We did recently see it on Broadway, and it wasn't a perfect musical.
We saw it on Broadway in Chicago.
I was very disappointed in it. But that's a different story because this movie,
very good movie,
is fantastic. It is really good. I don't know. It's also empowering that like.
And you're not thinking of the Ricky Lake one because there was a Ricky Lake one.
No, I've seen that one.
Okay.
But this is the Amanda Bynes, Nikki Blonsky one. Mm-hmm. John Travolta. Love the songs. Love the soundtrack. Good Morning Baltimore is a go-to karaoke and audition song for me because I've listened to it so many times, and it's a good ballad, you know.
It is.
And it's about overcoming obstacles again. Uh-huh. Now, Nick was very kind. Uh-oh. I don't know if you remember this. When Trump won in 2016, and I couldn't stop crying, he put on the soundtrack because he knows I love it so much. And I cried more because it's hard because this is written to be in the 60s where we were trying to overcome these obstacles. And then in 2016, we were still not there yet. So it's heartbreaking.
In 2020.
Too.
I mean, we're still not there in 2022, but I was going to refer to things that happened in 2020 that finally woke people up again.
So it's tough because it's so powerful, like the song that Queen Latifah sings about like there's a light in the distance and like I know where I've been, change is coming. There's a bunch of lines that's like it doesn't matter if you're black or white, and we're still not there yet. But I like to watch this musical to be reminded that people are fighting for it.
Yeah. And you know, to paraphrase our princess, you know, if you don't turn towards the light, you know, you're never going to make it through the night. So
that Princess Leia.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, I love it. Great musical. Got some very good songs. Okay,
good
number
pick.
5.
Good pick.
Thank you.
Solid.
So this is the one I kept switching with Mean Girls. I don't know.
Oh, so like you had Hairspray in the top slot or the 6th slot, and then it was 7 and 5 kept flip-flopping.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was also thinking about all the DVDs I personally owned. I don't personally own a lot of DVDs, but I have like a rotation of 5 or 6.
Yeah, when we combined everyone, I had one of those like giant.
Like 3 of those.
No, I had one that was smaller. It had all Blu-rays, and I'm looking all defensive and pedantic. But like 300 discs probably in total, or at least 250, close to 300. And then Danielle came with like 5 DVD cases. Like, I had long since dropped having cases because it took up way too much space. I consolidated, and still my stuff took up more space than hers did.
So these top 5 I definitely own on DVD.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so number 5, She's the Man.
Okay, so I like that as a justification for why this is the one that got the top 5, because this is the top 5 that you remember owning.
Yeah, I don't actually think I own Mean Girls on DVD, so.
I do. Anyway.
She's the Man. Again, we have a podcast episode about it because it's just.
Did we? We did. Oh, yeah, I guess we did. It was about a year ago now.
Yeah. It's, again, not a perfect movie. It can be a little non-PC, I guess, especially right now. But it was another woman power movie. Like,
Definitely.
she goes to beat the boys to prove that she's just as good as everyone else. And I just love the message.
Yeah.
And it's very funny.
And it's based on Shakespeare. So go back and listen to the previous episode about how we break that down.
And this movie was my introduction to Channing Tatum. He's so young in this movie, and I was like, who dat? And they only get better. Number 4.
Number 4.
Again, these were all so hard to put in order, but Miss Congeniality.
Nice.
Have we done an episode on that?
I think in our first season. Listeners, go ahead and, in fact, tell you what, I'm tasking you, listeners, Alex, Jennifer. These are names that I know you people are listening to this at some point, within weeks of this being released. I want you to go out onto our back catalog and tell us what episode was Miss Congeniality.
But don't listen to it because our first season is bad.
Yeah, if you're a new listener, by the way, just start listening from this episode to the most recent and just keep going backwards from the most recent ones. And then when you reach the point where you don't like us anymore, just stop listening and then listen to only new episodes from there. Yeah. Because lots of growing pains in the first season.
Yeah. Okay, so Miss Congeniality.
Miss Congeniality.
Woman power.
Sandy Bullock. Michael Caine.
It proves that even pageant ladies have personality. They're strong. It does. And it's just so very funny. Sandra Bullock and her physical comedy is it's fantastic.
She's underrated for that, I think.
Yeah, she is a physical comic, and she's just very funny. This movie is perfect.
I don't recall what my rating was if we've watched it before. I don't know that I think it's perfect,
but it's great.
It is good. It's fun. It's funny. It's revisitable, and yeah.
Lady power.
Lady power is a good thing.
Okay, numero tres. Grease.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
You're waiting for that one?
Yeah. Oh, I would have been shocked if it was not in the top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I've watched
very,
Grease.
very curious to see what our top 2 will be. But
okay. I've watched Grease more than any other thing that I've owned in my entire life. I just love it so much. I used to sleep to it. I used to dress up as Sandy. I had a pink ladies jacket. It's just iconic. I can't say anything else. It's just good.
I am feeling just as I'm now thinking about this, realizing how many of your top 10 are ones that we have covered, because I know we've got a previous episode with Grease.
Mm-hmm.
And early on, we were especially just kind of basically swapping back and forth with some of my top movies and some of your top movies.
Oh, so you're about to say we have to go back to yours.
No, all I was going to say is I'm very proud of us. And I'm very glad that we had, when we were doing that more before we started having more guests. Now we try to let the guests pick, and we like to have guests because it's more interesting conversation. But I'm just glad that when we were doing just us, that we actually did cover some of your tops, a lot of your tops, like the top 10s.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2.
It's a holiday movie. Hocus Pocus. That Halloween's a holiday.
I was thinking, when you said holiday movie, I will admit, I was assuming that there was going to be another Christmas one, and I was trying to figure it out, but I had forgotten about Hocus Pocus. But earlier today, when you were making the list, I was like, I assume Hocus Pocus will be on there somewhere. So I am not too surprised by this.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where I have truly, since the first time I saw it, been obsessed with it. I'm still constantly buying things around Halloween that's like, come on. I just own a lot of Hocus Pocus things. I got a Sarah Sanderson outfit. I got her new cape. I just find this movie so delightful. Bette Midler is a joy. I mean, it's just, I can't say anything else. I love it.
Yeah, I am cautiously optimistic for the sequel.
Oh, no.
I think it's this year. I think it's supposed to be coming out this year.
Hopefully it's like Shrek, where the sequel's even better than the original. Okay.
Okay, never mind.
We definitely did an episode on this too, I think.
Yes, we did do an episode of this. Like, I actually think we're probably like half of your top 10 are ones that we've done episodes on before. I was gonna say also, I think we're not very active on TikTok, but we have a TikTok account at In Love with Movies, and I think our first ever video, was us randomly recording when we were at
the airport.
We were at the airport. I think we were probably heading to LA for our first visit to LA, right around.
No, I think we're going to Joe's wedding.
Okay, Joe's wedding. Doesn't matter. Anyway, and like we were talking about Hocus Pocus, and then you somehow you literally just started quoting the entire movie. And this was like mid-June or something. And just starts being able to go through the first like 2.5 minutes of nothing but the dialogue for that movie, and I was quite impressed. So
thank you very much.
Listeners who want to find a little treasure, go back and dig into our TikTok. And Danielle, what is number 1?
You already know this. The answer is Legally Blonde.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is a good one.
I recently rewatched it like last week when we were on a plane.
That's true, yeah.
And I sat there and I smiled the whole time, and I was crying at some points because it's just so good. When she's just like, I don't know, when Elle gets her comeuppance and she's just, tells Warner how it is, and the movie is so good. And again, obviously there's a theme to all of these movies. Women are just as good as everyone else. Women can prove themselves. But I have a very strong connection to this movie because she's blonde. But also, people underestimate you if you're like blonde and pretty and they think you're dumb. And fun fact, I did think I was going to be a lawyer. Thank the Lord I was not. My best friend has told me how much she hates it. But this movie was very inspiring and just pushed me to be like, yeah, no, girls are smart. You should be smart. You should continue to be smart. You should continue to fight for each other because she's fighting for another woman when men won't believe her. Yep. And so, oh yeah, I think I teared up when he's like, and your boyfriend's name is Chuck. Chuck is a friend. He is just a friend. And then it's so inspirational because you're like, oh my God, they believe her. And it's just about believing women, that kind of stuff. And I quoted, I was the first ever student commencement speaker at my college graduation. Thank you so much. And I ended my graduation speech with, congratulations, class of 2013. We did it! And it's just because it's so great.
Fun fact for listeners of this show, if you listen to every episode since our Legally Blonde episode,
it ends with, we did it! That's top 30. I'm just going to quickly spit honorable mentions because we talked a lot longer than I thought we were going to.
Spit them out.
Okay. Literally any Disney Channel original movie. So, Smart House, Xenon. I even wrote down Cadet Kelly.
I do not know Cadet Kelly.
Don't Look Under the Bed. Right? Is that what it's called?
That's a movie.
Stuck in the Suburbs.
I've known half of these. We've done episodes on, I think, Smart House.
Oh, is Brink?
Brink? I don't know.
Oh, I wrote Smart House down. Did I say Smart House?
You did say Smart House. There's also friends of the pod, or at least friends of Danielle, because they haven't been guests just yet. But D commentaries, or DC. So it's Disney Channel original movies. So DCOM, and they have a podcast called DCOM Mentaries, D commentaries. Go check that out. They go through like all of the Disney Channel original movies.
I can't remember if Brink is a Disney Channel original, but that one's fantastic as well.
Moving on.
And then I wrote Disney/Pixar because my mom, when I texted her, I don't have my phone next to me. She was like, "You're obsessed with Disney," and I don't remember it as much. But then I think about like Jungle Book, Mary Poppins. I was very into. I know that's not animated, but Hercules, even Cinderella, Pocahontas, Toy Story, and Up. I know that's Pixar, but like Disney can really not do wrong, unfortunately. Okay. Spice World. That's an honorable mention. Okay. Spice World, it's a bad movie, but I love it a lot. Free Guy is a recent movie that I love.
Good one.
This is any movie with Justin Timberlake. But I don't really like The Social Network, but The Hangover. This was on my top 30, but you know what? I'd rather put women-led comedies than male-led comedies, but this is a funny movie.
I mean, Bridesmaids was touted at the time as being like the woman-led Hangover.
It's better.
Yes.
White Christmas is another holiday honorable mention.
Yeah.
But that's a Nick movie. I didn't watch it until I met Nick.
But I had never seen it until we watched it together.
Oh, well then, I love that movie.
Yeah.
And then this one is Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Oh my God,
I
that movie's
really
so
like
bad.
that
I can
movie.
remember I rented it and could get no one to watch it with me back in like college.
I went to the midnight premiere of this.
No.
Yes, because my friend's sister was working at the movie theater, and she's like, "There's extra tickets. Do you want to go see this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And people were dressed up as Abe Lincoln.
I love that so much. Love that so
I've watched it many times, just so you know.
I think I've only seen it the one time. That's wow. That is
I just had to
mind-boggling.
throw that little one in there. Nick, are there any movies that didn't make the list that you're surprised?
That like did not make the list that I'm surprised about.
I'm sure there's a bunch that I just like can't think of, but
I don't know if there's any that come to mind. All the big ones for you definitely came up.
yeah, my top 10.
At least that I would think of or would be shocked by. Yeah, I'm more surprised by some of the positions of some movies, like how high some were. I legit thought that there was at least there's a part of me that wonders if like you gave some of like The Usual Suspects, for example, like just got like a sympathy position in the top 30.
Yeah. No, I really like those. I think they're good. I just don't want to watch them again.
That's fair. There's a certain class of movie that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but even like Inception, we rewatched it for the podcast. I had seen it before, and I think I forgot about all the twists and turns of that too. So maybe I'll rewatch it again to be like, what?
Someday.
Guys are so sad.
Although I struggle to watch anything with Kevin Spacey anymore. It's really sad. I like because I'm normally someone who's like separate the art from the artist. But when you hear about how he actually was behind closed doors, it sounds like maybe a lot of the art that he produced was just him.
We'll pass on him.
Go see Swimming with Sharks if you want another example of that. Alrighty. With that, then I think that's everything we have. We're going to skip our normal, closer to science and heart ratings because there's, no heart ratings.
But I do want to put a call out into the wild.
Into the wild.
Of you listeners. I'm very curious. No, that's not a good movie. Curious if any of these that I said, because Nick does think, not just Nick, I know people think that my taste in movies is a little juvenile / trash. So if any of these movies made your top, let me know. I want to know that people like the same things that I do, and tell me which ones.
I don't know that I would consider any of your top 10 to be trash.
Well, you said top 10. You didn't say top 30.
No, I did not.
I almost went, another honorable mention is Master of Disguise.
That movie is...
I know you hate that movie so much.
So anyway, listeners, continue, Danielle. If you want to support her,
just let me know which ones are on your top list. I'm honestly very curious. I had a lot of emotions doing this list. I also have a lot of emotions going into being 30 years old. But also, if there's some movies that you're like, no, you would love this, please let me know. I'll let you know if I've watched it, and if not, we can watch it.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to rewatch Shrek for sure.
I'm down. All right. So if you want to let us know any things or thoughts that you all have, the locations are on pretty much every social media platform at In Love with Movies. That's at the letter N, Love with Movies, all spelled out, In Love with Movies. If you wanted to let us know anything that we talked about in terms of hashtag Shrek, please, or any of the other stuff that we discussed here today, let us know what you think of our past episodes. And then if you want to give Danielle support as, someone who is just now turning 30, if you like already are deep into the 30s or beyond, and you want to let her know that it's really not that bad. Her is at DannyMiami4 on Instagram. She's not on Twitter. Sorry, folks.
I was on Twitter, and then my Twitter name got taken over by a porn bot. Yeah.
Porn bot.
So
yeah.
don't tweet me.
So don't tweet her. And then anything else or anything like that, I'm at Nick Loves Movies. You can find me. That's NICLUV, Nick Loves Movies, on Twitter and Instagram. And I think that's everything we have, Danielle.
I love you, Nick.
I love you, Danny. And we love you, movie lovers. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you all next month. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, you do the bye-bye. Bye-bye.